Good evening, rail fans, and excuse me, didn't clear my throat before I started tonight. A little bit later than I usually do these things, but I did say last week, or the week before even, that I would do one of these fairly shortly, and I never quite got around to it. So have a look at the BR Class 31 and pulling some cement trains tonight. So just going to jump straight on in, because they're fairly straightforward. What I'm going to do is we're going to do early morning-ish run from Eastgate to Tees-Yard, actually Darlington to Tees-Yard, and then we'll do Tees-Yard back to Darlington. So it won't be an awfully long stream, probably. I've said that before, I know. And let's just jump straight in. Obligatory loading screens for like every other route except the one we're on. So main difference between this and the passenger run that I did, it's a much bigger, heavier train, and we'll be using the far less responsive air brakes this time. I don't know that this early morning one's a double header. I think this is just a single local pull. Could be wrong. Happens occasionally, so let's just have a quick look. Oh no, this is a double header. So not much to do at the start, just remember to turn the route lights on. Turn your master key on. Set the reverser to engine only. Just pop the locomotive brake on, and what am I using the click spots on the brakes for? And just hold the lever in the release position. And while we're doing that, we will just set the AWS up. Don't really need the instrument lights on for this route. There's no tunnels or anything that we'll go through, but we'll pop them on anyway. That should be more than long enough for the brakes. So reverser forward and let the locomotive brake off. And straight away the needle's dropped all the way, so the brakes are now fully off. We've got a green signal. Hey Spurs Reading, good to see you, man. I'm not too bad. I hope you're all right, dude. A little bit later than I normally do these, but long overdue doing the cement run. So this takes a bit longer to get going than the passenger one does. Also takes a lot longer to slow down. And I still don't always remember all the upcoming speed limit changes. Some of them are quite close together on this line. So it could be a few oh crap moments coming up. Crossing the East Coast Main Line. And straight into a 30. AWS telling me that the signal that I can't see is all clear. There we go. Into 35. By the time we even start accelerating again, we'll probably be into the 60 zone. There we go. Have I tried it on West Somerset? I have not, to be honest with you. I do have West Somerset, but you know, I just never ever play it. I have now done every activity on Tees Valley for the 31 though, and I'm still rubbish at it. You'll probably see me overspeeding and getting my braking wrong at least once along here. I also bought the other one for West Somerset, I can't remember which one it is, the big red one. I've not even driven it yet. I saw it for about £7 or £8 in a sale and thought, the completionist in me took over at that point. The W board to the left of the track there. 52, yeah, that's the one. I haven't even looked at it yet. I should get around to playing with those. So a mile and a half or so to go to the 30, and come off the power because we are going down a slight gradient. I'm just going to give it first application, probably way earlier than I need to, but still not that great with judging the braking distance for this because you have to be so far ahead of it. I've kind of found that as well, to be honest with you. Oh shit, left this way too late. I'm never going to be down to 30 in half a mile, I don't think. Or if I am, I'm never going to get the brakes off in time. I've certainly found it to be quite a difficult thing to master. Alright, so we'll maybe just start taking the brakes off now. There we go, and all of a sudden the speed's just tumbling away there. But the brakes are still halfway on. Oh, what a mess. Yeah, it's certainly pulling the heavy trains. It's I find it more difficult to manage than a three lever cab like one of the German ones. You've got the AFB, the throttle, the brakes, and PZB to worry about. And yeah, this is the one that I'm struggling to get to grips with. It wasn't too terrible, I didn't lose too much there. I can assure you that was a sheer fluke, mate. That's almost the first time that I've made it down to 30 in time there. So another whistle board on the left. Give it a second, we'll scare the shit out of everyone on this thing. There we go. If you've ever been in a train going one way and a train going the other way has suddenly blatted its horn as it's gone past it, it gets your attention, that's for sure. So briefly back up to, I don't know, believe I make it up to 60. There's Eagles Cliff. Allen's West into Eagles Cliff just up ahead, which is a slow junction. I think it's 25 going eastbound through Eagles Cliff. So that'll be what the whistle board was for the unguarded crossing there. So we might actually get up to a decent speed, but then we'll almost immediately have to start slowing down again, because that 50 goes straight into a 30, I think. This is where line knowledge, or rather lack of it, lets me down. So we'll just close the throttle there and start a bit of gentle braking. Going to keep the brakes in for a wee bit longer, because I'm pretty sure we're going to be slowing down a bit more beyond this 50. So into a 45, and then can't remember what comes immediately after. I think this is into a slower section, maybe. This line just is not sinking into my memory. No, there we go. That's beyond that 60 that was, yeah. We have a slowdown. This line is just not sinking into my memory the way that other ones have for some reason. that the airport there, perhaps? No. I think we've passed that. Right, that's Allens West, so I think there's a slower speed coming up ahead. Yeah. Oh, too fast. Into the dirty. Buggery, buggery, buggery. Yeah, this is the one I always make a bit of a hash of. Let's see if we can at least meet the 25. Shouldn't really be piling the power on while the brakes are still in, but I'm just trying to arrest that deceleration a bit. We're in a 60, going into a 50, which I think then goes into 45 maybe, and then we've got to be down to like 20 miles an hour going into the yard itself, which is not actually that long a trip. Next DLC, well, if they stick to the pattern, then it should be a UK route, because this is actually the last British one we had, I think. I'm not holding my breath for it being a modern route though. I think licensing is just too complicated and or expensive, to be honest with you. A collector's edition? Surely they should fix everything that's wrong with the stuff that's already out before they start packaging it up. You would have thought. The 31 in fact seems to have a bit of an annoying sound bug where if you change ends under some circumstances you lose a big chunk of the sound for the engine. I've noticed that if I use the return to free roam at the end of a run and then do an end change, it loses the sound entirely. Single yellow signal there, so we're going to just keep it nice and slow. Again, I'm just using the traction of the engine to try and the power of the engine to try and catch that deceleration. As long as your amperage doesn't go above about 1200, you should be good. Two additional routes are coming with it. I've not actually seen that. It's been a bit of a hectic week and a half for me, so I've not really been keeping up with anything internet-y. Pretty much all my downtime has just been spent playing around with this offline, it has to be said. I'll need to have a look at that. Right, so we've got a green signal up ahead, which is fine. We're going into a 35, which goes into a 20 pretty shortly after it, so only a mile and a half to run. Going to have a quick peek at the map. It's probably a really bad idea just to see if we're holding anything up. Nah, it doesn't look like it. Ah, so it's just been announced. I wonder if that's going to be what they put out in December then. I hope not. Just because it's an expensive enough time of year already. So I can see a red up ahead, but I can also make out the white light underneath it. I don't know how evident that is on the stream. So that's telling me I can pass it if I'm going, or rather what it's telling me is that the main line is not clear, and the points are set for the sidings, or to take me onto a different line technically. The UK signalling system, of course, being a route information based one rather than the speed based one, speed control based one rather, I should say, that you find in the German routes. So what I'll do is when I get into the yard, I will actually jump back to the menu to start the next part of it. Partly because I think we're going to be about a 10-minute wait, and partly to negate any likelihood of the sound bugs that I've come across cropping up. In fact, it has happened to me once or twice doing it this way as well, but I tell you what I did see is I did see them getting some bright spark in their social media team decided to tweet the 1 year anniversary of the Long Island Railroad being released, and it immediately filled up on Twitter with people going, right, but when can we get some stuff for it, or yeah, and it's been abandoned ever since, and stuff like that. It was quite funny. Oh, not paying enough attention again. We're going to be over speeding slightly going in here. To be fair, you're not there for long enough, really. You're only going to be here for a few minutes before the next activity starts. Would be kind of cool if it did something while you were in here, but I don't think they've added any cement specific activities to the timetable for the 08, and it just does whatever's on the timetable basically. It would be better than a sound bug, yeah. Right, the most annoying thing for the sound bug for me has been doing the passenger ones, because for completion's sake you want to get the runarounds at Saltburn as well. And I did do the first few trips doing a complete turnaround of the train, which is, I quite like doing it, but unfortunately it's, I mean, you can do it, and if I'm sitting, you know, if I'm not on stream, if I'm watching something on YouTube or what have you next to me, I'll maybe do it, because I've often got the sound turned down enough that I can't really make it out anyway. But it's a bit annoying for doing it on the stream when you're actually paying attention to the sound effects and stuff. So there we go, a little bit sloppy. You can see the green one goes over the red one a couple of times there. It's not a long trip, it's 25 minutes or so, and aye, that's the eastbound part of the trip. So what we'll do is we'll jump back to the main menu to pick up the second part of that. I think that might have been a bit of a wait anyway for the next bit to trigger. So back to the timetable. How did I have this set up? I think I had 2 clicks on there, one on there. And it was the 08:35 we did, so oh, in fact it would have only been about 2 minutes to wait. Yeah, no biggie. One of the rare occasions where I've got it from Darlington to the yard without actually coming to a halt somewhere on the line because I was too vigorous with the brakes. Right, so what we're going to do here is, I'm going to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to set the root lights and the tail lights, because we're going to be yard running technically this next little bit, like so. And we're going to run down to the front end here, the back end here, and I'm just going to set this end up and drive the entire thing from here. This will make more sense in a couple of minutes. So, master key on, and what do I want to do? Put the brakes into first application for now, so we don't release completely. do get a really nice sense of scale when you stood down here next to it, I have to say. I like that. Something that older train simulators didn't always give you. It's just that sense of how big these things are. German shunter, yes. I wonder whatever happened to that. They did say on a stream once a long time ago that they were looking into that. So let's just pop the reverser into reverse. Let the brake out completely. And you can see we're just with the decompression of the buffer as we roll back slightly. And before we move off properly, just remember to do that. Fuck's sake. Those could really do with some sort of sticky thing on them, I have to say. So, brakes are off. You can still hear the air going through the brake system in those vans. I don't know if they're supposed to do it for that long or not, but oh, is it licensing issue? There you go. In other words, whoever owns the rights wants more than the couple of €100 that the Deutsche Bahn will ask them for. So we could just use the local brakes for this bit. It's a bit less fiddly actually. They're a lot more immediate than the train brakes are. I don't know why it makes us go so far down here either. You'd think about here we'd be far enough, but no. I think they just want to try and trap you with misset points and things like that. It's a canal or something down there, by the looks of it. Overshot slightly. Something else that irritates me slightly is how unforgiving it is with the overshooting, but never mind. Points should be set okay for you on this part. Put the seat down. Probably don't really need the instrument lights again, but we'll pop them on. Depends on what the conditions of the MRC license were, whether it was a one-shot deal or something a bit more comprehensive. which I suspect would depend entirely on how much money MRC felt that their brand is worth. This is when there's something to be said for modding, because it's much more difficult for the license holders to go after modders because they're not making any money from it. So this is a go via, so I can just go straight on through it, but I do need to try and be reasonably accurate with my stop at the next bit. So you have to be a wee bit careful here, because you have to be on the stop point, but it does take you more or less right up to that signal down there. Right, so having stopped exactly on the stop markers, and I need to go back up the way. Just remember to set our junctions before we go. I haven't actually watched any of their last couple of dev streams, to be honest. I should really, because you quite often get some really good information, you know, the stuff they don't put in the fucking manual, for example. The only place I've ever seen any concrete information about what mode to run PZB in, for example, has been Matt talking about it on a stream. Just nice and gently up to the wagons. I might just want to get a little shade closer. There we go. So just put the reverser back into engine only, put the train brake on the first notch, and while we're remembering to do it, we'll pop the tail lights off. And let's just nip down. Is it too early to start thinking about Christmas or not? Well, it's not Christmas Eve yet, so there's your answer. Pop those all off. That should all be off anyway from the I'll return to the menu screen. So we're now coupled up. You can hear the air running through that brake system. That stops fairly quickly. So we're more or less ready to go. Just one more thing to remember to do, really. And that's your AWS. I did put the seat down, didn't I? Yeah. So reverser to forward, brakes out. And off we go. You can still hear the air running out of those ones that I uncoupled from as well. That just seems to go on forever. It's wonder if they got a third-party team in just so that when everybody starts complaining about the bugs, you can go, it wasn't our fault, sorry. So all the points are will be set okay for us on the way out. Do you have to watch for that red though? They have actually. To be fair, apart from that bug on the end change, I am very impressed all round with it. I did say that in the stream I did with the 101 in tow. All the little incidentals. You can hear all the sort of the loose fittings banging and rattling around. So that's what the red was for. It was for the coal train coming in off to our right there. We've now got a green. There's a really cool scenario that you do in this as well, where you have to go from the Tees yard, you have to run down to Lackenby, where you have to remove a dead 37 from the front of I can't remember if it's a steel train or a coal train, and then you pull it all the way back as far as Eagles Cliff. Kind of good fun. I might do that on the stream at some point. Emphasis on the might. I'm not committing to anything too concrete at the moment. Just a lot of things going on. I can't say for certain. when I'll next be able to do this. That said, I mean, I might be able to do some over the weekend. I might not. I just don't know at the moment. Okay, so that's just completely out of the yard, basically. Just wait for the rear of the train to clear all those points. I haven't actually noticed the people in the yard, to be honest with you. I tend to be that focused on the instruments and just what's dead ahead of me, in terms of those two strips of metal running off into the distance. I'm very often oblivious to what's going on in the scenery. I only spotted the airplane at the airport that's flying around last week, and I've had this route since the day it came out. I never noticed that. I'll have to have a look the next time I do it. I remember getting really excited. One of the scenarios on Rursig Nord, it's the one where the weather is getting really bad as you're going along the route, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And then at one point they tell you, right, a tree's come down on the line, so you're going to be going down the wrong side of the track. And as you drive past, you can see the train fall, the tree lying across the other line, and there's like a couple of vans parked next to it and stuff. And I was like, oh wow, that's so cool. I wonder if that's where there has been another line at some point, or whether that's just sort of an access road that's been worn into the ground. A lot of track was lifted in this area in the 70s and the 80s. So way early on my slowing down here, but you can go, and I found with the 31 you can very suddenly go from it's way too early to oh shit. Yeah, I really liked that one with the fire on the rear. That was pretty cool. I think I've got a suspicion that was, as much as anything, that was them sort of testing out the smoke and the fire for. Oh, maybe that's what they're keeping secret. How cool would that be? Steam. Because if you look at every pack they've done since, oh, I would say this one as well has some really cool effects, especially if you're running in the at dawn or at dusk. If you run past the steelworks down at the Lackenby and Redcar end, there's a lot of really cool sort of smoke and lighting effects going on down there. And I think most of the packs they've released in the last sort of or certainly a couple of the packs have released in the last sort of 4 to 6 months, you could look at and say that's almost like they're practicing things here. They're trying out techniques. I would like to think so. Even a broken clock is right twice a day, my friend. But I would love to be right about steam trains. I think the thing really holding them back, if I'm being honest, is the wheels. Can you imagine how horrible conrods and spoked wheels would be if they can't nail that? If they can't nail that down. Yeah, West Somerset, that's a good shout actually, because that would be quite low speed. You might be able to manage that. So I think is this 50 stay at 50 for a while? I can't remember. There is another slow turn coming up. Oh no, it stays at 50. That's cool. Oh yeah, I know the thing you mean. Do you mean the like the pannier tank thing, the big square boxy looking thing that's that well known? I can't remember what it's called. But pretty much every little kid in the 1980s had the Matchbox toy one. Right, I think the only slowing down I have to do now is the 30 mile an hour bend up ahead. Yeah, so on. Now I'm thinking of the ones that were green. Or was it just orange for that film? I've not seen that film since I was about 6 or 7 years old, maybe. little bit further ahead with the braking this time, I think. Seems to be a point around 30-35 bars of pressure where the brake suddenly becomes super effective, but then it takes forever to release again from that point on this. It's just, I just cannot get the hang of that. So there we go, half a mile before we need to be slowed down, and we're already slowed down. It's not one extreme, it's the other. Sure, the draw distance is a little bit better on this line than it was back at launch as well. Orange won the classic trains video. I have to admit that I've never really sort of been. I mean, I had quite a few books about trains when I was younger, but I was never. Once I outgrew my train set when I was about, well, I don't know, it was about 11 or 12. Around about the time I started noticing girls weren't just yucky. It was about the time I lost interest in my train set, if I'm being honest with you. And until I started playing train sims again, nearly in my 40s, I have to admit that they were just something that I occasionally travelled on. It's only really been in the last sort of, what, year and a half that this has been out that I've really kind of gotten back into the whole thing. I didn't even know they weren't called train spotters anymore until about a year ago. But I do feel that year and a half I have kind of caught up a bit on a few decades worth of what's the word I'm looking for? Ambivalence, maybe? Right, so we can just give it full licks now. Next time we slow down, it will be for the approach into Darlington. And generally speaking, the stopping points are a lot more generous with the cement trains than they are with the coal trains or the steam trains. Rather, you don't have to stop it within 6 inches of a danger signal like you do in the 37. That was a green one I just went past, wasn't it? Too busy looking out the window. Yeah, it must have been. I got a bell instead of a siren off the AWS. Yeah, you don't realise just how many slopes there are on the Tees Valley till you've done it with a cement train. I have to say, even the 37's a lot more easy to manage. But again, I think it was just because you have to be so far ahead of the braking on this thing. There we go, there's that point around now where it's just going to suddenly bite. I think I just need to learn to be a bit more confident with the brakes, put them on a bit later and release them a bit earlier. I tend to not release them until the speed's almost down to where I need it to be, whereas I think I should be letting them out maybe a bit earlier. It's what I used to do with the vacuum brakes all the time, was not put them on hard enough to begin with and then leave it too late to start releasing them. Across the East Coast line, and oh, wouldn't it just be lovely if you could flick those points over and open it up, just keep going. Maybe one day. I think I say that every time I do this approach into Darlington. It's probably boring as fucking hell. I don't think there's a yard as such. I think what this is just a sort of a convenient landmark. A nice big station to end the line at. I think they would just go straight on through here to wherever they were going next. I think. And there would have been all sorts of yards around Arlington, but not necessarily attached directly to the station. It was an industrial area, so back in the day there would have been yards all over the shop, I would have thought. Oh look, there's something coming in from the edge of the map. Cool. And that's it. And that time the green one didn't go over the red one too much. I think there was maybe one little bit where I was slightly over, but more or less, well, by and large I was being quite cautious. So again, just that one was slightly longer, 35 minutes, just with the faffing about doing the run around at the end. I'm going to quickly do the stuff it. Let's I wonder how long it takes to do that one. No, I'm not going to start it now. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I didn't realise it was that late. Right, I think that's probably the place to wrap it up. I was almost going to do a scenario there, but didn't realise quite how late it was. So that was the cement train, which I still need quite a bit of practice on, I think. If I'm not braking too late, I'm braking too soon. And I don't really have an excuse for that, because I'm just very quickly looking at the list. You can see I've actually done them all now. Those two, I can't go any quicker and get that gold because there's bloody signals that stop you and slow you down. I just cannot squeeze that extra minute that I need out of it. I probably could actually with a bit more practice, but I keep bashing away. That's going to annoy me as long as those two stay at silver. But that's where I'm going to wrap this one up for now. So thanks very much. It's always a pleasure, and I'll try not to leave it too long before I do another one of these. As I said, can't commit really to anything concrete at the moment, or anything cement even, if you like. See what I did there? That was shit, Scott. It's late. Right. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you again next time. Good night.